If f of x equals e to the x, and g of x equals sine of x, and h of x equals the composition of f of g of x, then find h prime of pi over 2. So we're trying to find the derivative of h and then plug in pi over 2. So if you look at h, we have a function inside of a function. So anytime you see a composition of functions like this, we're going to think of the chain rule. So we need to do the derivative of the outside. So the inside is g of x, and the outside is f of the inside. So, the derivative of the outside, the derivative of f, if you look over here, e to the x, the derivative of this is e to the x, but instead of keeping it as x, we're going to plug the inside function into that. So maybe it's actually helpful for you guys, you might see it a little simpler if you actually rewrite it as a composition. So instead of seeing the function separately, it might make a little more sense to you if you actually write it as the composition. So h of x actually equals g of x being plugged into f of x everywhere you see an x. So it's actually e to the sine x. So seeing it written like that might make a little more sense as far as inside, outside. So inside, I guess we could rewrite it as sine of x, and outside I can rewrite as e to the inside. So if that makes a little more sense, you might want to do it that way. If it makes sense to you to use the letters, then do it that way as well. So h prime of x equals the derivative of the outside. So the derivative of e to some power is e to that same power. So we're going to write it as I, which is sine of x, times, that's the derivative of the outside, times the derivative of the inside. And the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. So that's the derivative of the inside. And then from there, you just plug in what we want to know. So we want to know what h prime of pi over 2 is. So I'm going to plug in pi over 2, so that I have e times sine of pi over 2 times cosine of pi over 2. And I'll rewrite it over here so I have a little bit more room. So sine of pi over 2, if you think about the unit circle, pi over 2 is the one pointing straight up. So sine is equal to 1, so this is e to the 1, times cosine of pi over 2 is equal to 0. So that's actually times 0. So e to the 1 is equal to e, and e times 0 is equal to 0. So the answer is 0, which is B.